down to the guy beside you. And go to it over the game.
I'll be there for love. All I'm dreaming of. 'Cause it's in my blood. I'm in this for the love.
And Jones, he's got it. Touchdown. Him towing his way to the end zone. I told you.
Am I wrong?
If you have been wondering, maybe you have, maybe you haven't, Mac Jones evidently is going to start today for the New England Patriots. Yep, it's the Bill Belichick Bowl. Bill back in the Meadowlands facing the Giants. We're told, however, Bailey Zappi might eventually get in there, prepared to see both of them. Prepared to see us as well. Happy Week 12. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. We are back for NFL Game Day Preview live here on the NFL channel. That right down there is Cynthia Freeland. Hello to you.
Hello.
Hello.
We saw each other running on the street. He ran with my dog.
I did. Gordy was great. Gordy was
so
keeping
cute.
pace. Gordy was happy for football. Steve Weich.
Week 12.
Good to see you.
Week 12.
I know.
Week 12. I mean, we're
good,
almost there.
We're almost there.
We're almost there.
Not yet there, because
Not yet.
if the playoffs were to start today, Weich would be disappointed, but he would still give me grief about always using that line. Coach Leslie Frazier and Adam Rank will join us coming up shortly, as well as we have 6 games that are about to kick. Let's get some news, however, from our NFL Network insider, Ian Rappaport, about not an early game, but one of the late games. Ian, one in Vegas between the Chiefs and the Raiders that might actually have Max Crosby today?
Yeah, I am told Max Crosby is in fact expected to play, which, you know, Max Crosby always plays, so on the face of it, it's really not a surprise. But here's why it is a surprise. He did not practice at all this week. He was listed as doubtful. He's been dealing with knee swelling, something that's really been an issue the last couple of weeks. And when a player's listed as doubtful, they never play. I mean, never. It has not been since 2020 when a player who's been doubtful has actually been able to get on the field. That is expected to be the case with Max Crosby. So why would a guy put himself through this and get himself on the field? From my understanding, Patrick Mahomes. He wants to face Mahomes. He wants to beat the Chiefs. He is expected to put himself on the field. Really just an incredible thing for Max Crosby.
And if you don't know the relationship between those two, go back and watch the Netflix show this past summer. Mahomes and Max Crosby, they had their moment. It was fun. Maybe we get another one of those moments today. And maybe, Ian, we see Aaron Rodgers on the practice field this week. He's going to turn 40 this week. Why do I think that he just wants to prove that he could practice with a torn Achilles before he turns 40?
Well, practicing on a Saturday, which is his birthday, December 2nd, really hasn't quite made a ton of sense. You start the practice window, you give up 3 days of that, then you practice on your birthday, and it's like, congratulations, but you also wasted 4 days. Anyway, the most important thing is it is coming, whether it's the way end of this week, probably more likely next week. Aaron Rodgers is expected to practice at some point relatively soon. As far as what the Jets have told him, it's pretty simple. Bring us the doctor's note, and when you are allowed to practice, you will practice. If he can protect himself, if he can somehow be a functional quarterback, he is actually expected to play despite just a couple months after a torn Achilles. My understanding, Andrew, is the target date for Aaron Rodgers is the December 24th game against Washington Commanders. That would give him 3 games to play. It would give them a jump on next season. And if they cannot make the playoffs, they can't. But it sounds like he does still want to get out there.
It is just bonkers. And if he does come back on the 24th, and I'm looking way, way, way too far ahead, they have a very quick turnaround after that game. They play a TNF game right after that on the 28th in Cleveland. So then are we going to have the, well, can he play twice on it in 5 days conversation? We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But the idea that we're talking about him practicing the first week of December potentially is just bonkers. Thank you. Yeah. Ian Rappaport, our NFL Network insider.
You ready to watch the show? It's definitely going to be a good one.
Let's go!
We the best in the world. We're going to show it today.
You can try, I will not be denied.
120. I touch.
Too strong to be defeated.
Fires a bullet.
My life burns bright.
Let's go.
I
Big Daddy goes down.
will stand, I will fight.
I mentioned only one game between two teams that are both in the playoff picture, but this game in Philadelphia in the afternoon is pretty good as well. The Buffalo Bills are coming to town to face the #1 team of the NFL. You can't argue that. The Eagles have the best record. They are 9-1, but let me give you a big if. If the Bills are to beat the Eagles today in the late window, potentially in the rain in Philadelphia, that means next week, week 13, the Niners, if they were to beat the Eagles in the NFC Championship game rematch, would move up to #1. Oh, don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but we're just looking at, the big picture stuff here. James Palmer live with us on NFL Game Day Preview in Philadelphia. That's the Eagles side of things. Let's focus on the Bills coming up here first, because let's not overlook them. They scored 30. Joe Brady's calling plays. Everyone's feeling good about themselves this week offensively.
Yeah, they should be feeling good about themselves right now. It's against a very good Jets defense, really the only team to beat the Eagles this season, right? And I talking to people in Buffalo, figuring out what's different with Joe Brady now that they're preparing for their second game as him as their interim offensive coordinator. I talked to left tackle Deion Dawkins, and he said a couple of things that really stood out to me, guys. It was one, it's the most fun he's seen Josh Allen have in some time, he said, and that's because of what Joe Brady did for him, getting him in a rhythm. And when he's in a rhythm with positive play after positive play, he said, really, there's no stopping him. So I said, okay, as a whole, what's different with the offense and the way you guys prepare and put this together? He told me it is the communication. It is incredible. He respects us to a point that he constantly asks us for our input in this offense. What do we want to put within this offense throughout the week and on game day? It's a very open dialogue. They're seeing a different Josh Allen and a different feel with their offense right now.
And we certainly saw a different offense last week. Cynthia, what'd you see?
Well, you didn't see a lot different in terms of kind of the quality control report that's coming out on them, meaning when they used motion ahead of time, they threw the football. That's a tendency they've had all season long. They continued that. They ran the ball just a smidge more. They did do more designed runs for Josh Allen, and they found some more chemistry on some deeper passes with Khalil Shakir. But if you look at the fundamentals of week to week, it's not really that different, which would mean maybe it's not their offense that's really the problem. Perhaps that's not where the bigger problem lies. Like, obviously, you want to keep the turnovers at a minimum, but a little more running, better field position. Maybe if you just give them better field position in every game, that'll be the answer.
Yeah, I mean, that always helps. Better field position generally is certainly a formula for victory here. The Eagles have been getting their great field position here. Steve, let's transition to them, and we saw this on Monday night.
Right, exactly.
By running the football consistently.
Well, consistently, but let's get some DeAndre Swift into play here. We saw Monday night, I mean, the Eagles basically made 4 or 5 offensive plays, and he was involved in just about all of them. He's their explosives guy. And I think in a game like against Buffalo today, as Cynthia was alluding to, maybe some leaky spots on their defense, this is the player for the Eagles that could really make things happen. I'd like to see more of him. He's averaging about 18 touches a game between runs and receptions. But if this is something like what they're doing right here, some of these wide-angle plays with Jason Kelsey or some of the guys pulling in front of him, he's that explosive. And again, I think the Bills have enough potential leaks in their defense where if he hits it, he can get the Eagles on the board, and they can establish now more of a consistent ground game where they can wear down Buffalo's defense.
Steve, another note with DeAndre Swift, what you saw in the second half of that game Monday night was how they used him in the screen game. And a big part of talking to people here in Philadelphia is because of the pressure that Chiefs defensive line was putting on Jalen Hurts. They sacked him 5 times. You look at the second half, finding times and ways to put him in the screen game to alleviate some of that pressure was a big part of how they played better in the second half. This Bills defense, what are they? Second in the NFL in sacks. They're going to be getting after it as well, so keep an eye on him in the screen game, possibly this afternoon as well. But another part that could really impact DeAndre Swift's ability to run the football in this Eagles offense, Lane Johnson is now questionable. This just came out with a groin injury, so we're going to have a chance to see him work out pregame. But that is something we're going to have to keep our eye on because that could affect how this team operates, obviously, in the pass and the run.
Real quick, James, you're also keeping an eye on the weather. The Eagles had rain throughout Monday night's game in Kansas City. Maybe rain there later today?
That's the expectation. That's why this coat might be swapped out. I love it too much. Get one that I don't mind getting wet.
Oh,
James
the fashion
Palmer
wardrobe.
is dying for a wardrobe change.
Get out of here.
I know it.
Yeah.
But
I know
his hair
it.
will be perfect even if it's pouring rain.
Oh, he brought
His
two
hair will be
coats.
perfect
Cynthia
either
knows.
way.
James Palmer, always prepared. Thank you. Live in Philadelphia ahead of a late kick, one of the 4 late kicks. This is an early kick. What if I told you this might be the game of the day?
Yeah, it will be.
I think it
C.J.
is.
Stroud averaging 339 yards through the air at home. Don't know his free throw percentage, but he's looked good. The Texans come in here as a playoff team, kids, as a 6 seed, as a team that is looking to sweep the Jaguars. Jacksonville is the 3 seed right now. This is the one game today where both teams are in the playoffs right now. The Texans and the Jaguars.
so good.
It's week 12. It's awesome. A lot of love here for the quarterbacks, understandably. Tell me about, though, what DeMeco Ryans is doing with that defense.
Well, I mean, first off, who saw this coming? All right, we're sitting here right now. Now the Houston Texans are in play. But in really analyzing what the Texans have been doing here, Cynthia, how'd you like that? I'm analyzing.
Yes,
Love it.
put on the hat.
Last 5 games have been one-possession games for the Texans. The fact that they are dominating in the second and the fourth quarters, which means they're closing out halves, is why they're winning these ball games. And you talk to, and we'll talk to our own Leslie Frazier about this, well-coached teams, composed teams, and teams that don't flinch, they win the second and fourth quarters, and that's why you look at some of the better teams around the league. Those are the quarters they win. They close out the first half, and then they close out games. And that's what DeMeco Ryans and this defense are doing. They're holding teams steady in the second and fourth quarters, and that's giving their offense opportunities to score points in those vital time frames.
Well, you talk about the Texans defense and their ability to bring pressure. One of the ways that you're really going to get Trevor Lawrence going is by using play action. He has such dramatic splits when he's using play action and able to execute it well, like as in the teams are biting and they have to respect the run, and when they don't. And there are some questions at the linebacker level for the Texans and some injuries also that are impacting their ability to kind of stop those passes. So the key to this game for me will be whether or not the Jaguars offense can actually get some traction against the Texans defense. I'm not as worried about the other side, which is kind of crazy to say, but I'm not as worried about the rookie going against the NFL defense as I am against Trevor Lawrence going against the Texans defense.
And let's say this, too, about C.J. Stroud. After not turning the ball over for the first 2 months, he's turned it over 3 times in each of the last 2 games. He compared himself after last week's win in Cincinnati to Steph Curry. He said, you're not going to tell Steph Curry to stop shooting. I'm going to keep shooting. Love the attitude. Also have to love for him as well. And for my struggling fantasy team, the Dameon Pierce is up and active today for the first time since week 8.
Yeah.
Dameon Pierce active, but Devin Singletary's done well, done great actually the last 2 weeks. Cynthia, thank you.
Thank you.
Cynthia's now back to NFL Game Day morning on NFL Network. We're back to Cincinnati. Coming up next, T. Higgins inactive. Jamar Chase, though, quite active. We are live there where we could have rain as well ahead of the Bengals and the Steelers, and follow that game and every game.
That was me doing the Cupid Shuffle on Thanksgiving, by the way.
Well done. Game Center on the NFL channel throughout the day.
Kenny just missed it. The ball was wide of the mark.
Oh!
Unfortunate that pass was off target.
It's time for a different route. Feels like my world keep falling down.
The Pittsburgh Steelers offense really is struggling right now.
All right, what's going on?
Yeah, they've been struggling just a bit. And now the conversation has gone to, well, maybe Kenny Pickett is the problem.
Oh, boy.
Is that fair? I don't know. But I do know this. Kenny Pickett and the Steelers are trying to bounce back after a loss that seemingly broke the Steelers last week in Cleveland to Dorian Thompson-Robinson and the Browns. And there is a new play caller this week with Matt Canada out as OC in Cincinnati. Steelers-Bengals AFC North with Bridget Condon live on the field with us for NFL Game Day preview. Hi there, Bridget. How's it looking for the Steelers today?
Well, Andrew, the rain has been coming down for the better part of an hour. Keep an eye on that, especially with ball security. But this team is hoping for a spark today after moving on from offensive coordinator Matt Canada. To put it in perspective, it's been 58 games for this Steelers team where they've generated fewer than 400 yards on offense. That's the longest streak in the NFL. 44 of those 58 games, Matt Canada was the offensive coordinator. Now, talking with players, nobody was happy that Matt Canada lost his job because of them. They felt like they could have and should have done more and made more plays. But TJ Watt tells me he understands Mike Tomlin and believes in him for recognizing this team has more potential. Tight end Pat Freiermuth telling me not a whole lot can change. Of course, he was just fired on Tuesday. It's now Sunday, but they have added a few things here and there to hopefully move the ball down the field more, as nobody was satisfied, like you mentioned, after that loss to the Browns last week.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue it kind of broke them. I mean, tales of screaming and yelling in the locker room after the game last week, Coach. We've seen George Pickens, now Deontay Johnson express frustration on the sideline, Najee Harris as well. I want to double back to kind of how we got into this segment. Is it Matt Canada? Is it Kenny Pickett? Is it both? Can both be true? What are you seeing here?
You know, Drew, I texted Mike Tomlin earlier in the week after all this went down, and just tried to encourage him, and he didn't share with me, listen, this is hard. And he had a strong relationship with Matt Canada. That's a friend of his, and to have to make this decision was hard for him. But it gives Eddie Faulkner a chance, along with Mike Sullivan, a chance to really be able to get some things done.
All right, having a mic issue here. So, I mean, let's transition here from both Kenny Pickett over to what Kenny Pickett's facing today, Steve, here on the Bengals defense.
Well, you just heard Bridget talk about how they may have some opportunities to dial up some more shots. This might be the time to do it because Cam Taylor-Britt, the corner for the Cincinnati Bengals, who's been so good, is not playing today. But other than that, it is going to be tough sledding against this defense because, you know, linebacker-wise, we know Logan Wilson, Jermaine Pratt, those guys are very good in coverage. And then the rest of the secondary for the Cincinnati Bengals has shown up. So if they're trying to expand the passing game, this might not be the ideal situation for Kenny Pickett and what the Steelers are trying to do offensively. They may have to try to run the ball. That's been an issue. You know, as you just mentioned, Najee Harris has been complaining about it. Warren is somebody they want to get the ball to a little bit more. And they can't run the ball because the Bengals defense is susceptible against the run and one of the worst run defenses in the NFL. But again, if they're trying to take shots, as Bridget was talking about, this might be the time to do it from time to time.
Transition to Steve, for sure. Get the football down the field, and that's on both Eddie Faulkner and Mike Sullivan. An interesting thing will be. Here we go. Okay. Yeah, the interesting thing will be whether or not Mike and Eddie can get the points on the board. They've struggled to score points. I mean, 16 points over the course of the season on average. They've got to be able to get 22, 23 points per game, and they're not there yet.
Bridget, jump in here.
And just on the other side of things, this quarterback, Jake Browning, taking over for Joe Burrow, everybody in that locker room has belief in this guy. Keep in mind, though, he's been cut 4 times, 3 times by the Vikings, once by the Bengals, but Jonah Williams and he won a state championship in high school by 61 points, which is a lot in any game, especially a state championship. He tells me the one interesting thing that I want you guys to know about Jake Browning is this guy ate ground beef, salt, and honey every meal, every day this spring and summer, and it's that work ethic and discipline that gives this team confidence in their new starting quarterback.
Hold on. Ground beef, salt, and honey, Bridget?
I asked Jonah if he ever tried any, and he was like, something about him having that in a glass container, walking over to microwave it after practice, turned him off of it. But I don't know, maybe we should try it this week.
All right, he will not be doing a cooking show anytime soon. No, but riding high after UW's big win yesterday, no doubt. Thank you, Bridget, live in Cincinnati.
Orange Crush was all over him.
The Orange Crush defense, they were a hell of a football team.
He's in trouble, and down he goes! That ball is intercepted, swallowed up in an Orange Crush.
I don't know what that dance was he did, but I want to see a replay of that.
Ball will be picked.
It was an Orange Crush.
The Orange Crush looked better than ever.
We know the tradition here, and we got guys that are upholding the Orange Crush standard.
All right, how about one of the afternoon games figuring in the AFC playoff race in Denver, where it could be cold, like mid-30s cold, maybe even some flurries, you never know. The Browns are 7-3 right now. There's actually a scenario where they could jump up all the way to number 1 today. I mean, it would have to have the Ravens losing later today. Whatever. The Broncos are playing well, guys. The Denver Broncos have won 4 in a row. The Broncos have forced 12 turnovers now in their last 3 games. Coach, something happened here. This is the same defense, although not really clearly. They gave up 70 points and 10 touchdowns in 1 game to the Dolphins in September. What's going on?
This is not the same defense.
No.
Vance Joseph told me earlier in the week, he said, Leslie, our preparation has changed. We've improved. We took a look at the personnel as a defensive staff, and we said, you know what? We're probably not giving these guys the best chance to succeed. So they made some adjustments personnel-wise, along with the way they prepare for games, and then they really took a look at the scheme in itself, and they've begun to do a better job. And you talked about it a moment ago, but take a look at their points per game allowed. And their red zone defense has improved. Weeks 1 through 5, 36 points allowed a game, and now weeks 6 through 11, 17 points allowed. And then the same thing with third down. Big improvement in this area as well. Take a look at when we watch their defensive line do a great job of being able to keep Patrick in the pocket. Great job of rushing coverage, working together. Zach Allen, Nick Bonita, finding a way to create havoc for quarterbacks. And then probably the biggest difference in the Denver team on defense has been the takeaways. Weeks 1 through 5, 5 takeaways, and then 6 through 11, 14 takeaways.
That good?
That is huge. I mean, this is Jaquan Miller does a great job of making the catch here, but this is how you turn your defense around, taking the football away, playing good red zone defense, getting off the field on third down. Kudos to Vance Joseph and their defensive staff and their players as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're seeing something defensive. And Justin Simmons, a safety, we don't talk about this guy.
Totally.
He's one of the best players in the NFL. He's contributed to that. But as well as their defense has been playing, the Cleveland Browns defense has been playing better, Coach. Okay, they're giving up – the Broncos during the stretch have been giving up 17 points a game. The Browns have been giving up 16. And this is something where the front for the Cleveland Browns, they're going to cause problems for Russell Wilson. Right, you see Sean Payton's got Russell Wilson playing under center a little bit more to try to get some of that run action going. The interior of this Browns defense is going to be in Russell's face. So now he's got the vision issues. So now you're going to have the great Myles Garrett, Zadarius Smith, and some of those guys coming off the edge. That's going to be an issue. Now, Denzel Ward, the cornerback for the Browns, is out today. He's not playing. That could free up some space for Cortland Sutton, the wide receiver for the Broncos, who has been going ham during this winning streak. But otherwise, all areas of the field are going to be difficult to move the ball against this Browns defense. So, again, defense versus defense, Andrew. This is going to be a very good game where giveaways and takeaways are going to make the difference.
And the Browns secondary banged up not just Denzel Ward, but our friend Rodney McLeod tore biceps last week on that angry run by Jalen Warren, so he is on IR and now out for the year. Juan Thornhill is iffy. He didn't play last week, so they're good at corner. They're deep at corner. Safety today could be an issue here for the Browns. Keep an eye on that one. Defensive struggle, we think. Yeah, coming up in Denver. Coming up in Houston in mere moments. Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars against C.J. Stroud of the Texans are either or both in your fantasy lineup. We're doing fantasy. Ranks getting in here next. NFL Game Day preview. NFL Game Day preview, friends. Let's see what we're finding on the socials here. What do we got? All right, we got a car in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Right, nice car. We got C.J. Stroud.
Garofalo's eating on the job.
Garofalo's got the best job in the world.
What's he doing? He just sitting there eating a sandwich?
He can expense picking up a sandwich on the way to MetLife Stadium and like spilling it all over himself live on the field. Hey, we're live as well. Welcome back to NFL Game Day preview. He gets to wear a hat.
They told me to take my beanie off.
He took his hat off.
Even though it's like 9 degrees in here. Hey, everybody.
Good to see you, sir.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. I know I'm not supposed to talk until I'm introduced.
It's quite all right.
It was very rude of me.
Adam Rank is here. We're doing
I'm in
fantasy.
my room, though.
We're
This is my studio.
This is the set on which they do NFL Fantasy Live or the Fantasy Show on what you're watching now, the NFL channel. So he's about to dispense fantasy advice and give us a quarterback that must be in a lineup today, and that is...
But somebody who's a difficult decision for you. And I think for a lot of people, they still are wondering what to do with Kyler Murray. I would say that you start him this week against the LA Rams, despite the fact that he's not been great historically against the Rams. He's had some good games. He'll throw for like 380 yards, but not a touchdown and some other things. But last week, he was in the top 10 finally. He was the quarterback 6, thanks to 2 rushing touchdowns. And I think going up against this Rams team that have been giving up a lot of production to quarterbacks, I think he can feel very safe starting him this week?
The Rams have had a lot of success. They've won 8 in a row in Arizona, but that doesn't mean Kyler Murray can't still be a good play in your fantasy lineup. Give me a running back today.
I get a lot of questions about Ramondre Stevenson because people are concerned about the quarterback situation with the New England Patriots. I'm going to start him. I think that when you have a viable option like Ramondre Stevenson, who is literally, DeMario Dawson's good, but he is their guy. They have to get him the ball. Regardless of who the quarterback is, obviously, it'll be Mac Jones. They've got to find ways to get him the ball, whether it's a receiver out of the backfield, whether it's running the football. I start him against the Giants. The Giants have been pretty generous against opposing running backs. They've allowed 3 rushing touchdowns in the last 4 games. I think there's an opportunity for Stevenson here.
Mac Jones is going to start. However, Mike Garafolo says we could see Bailey Zappi at one point today. Regardless,
Gronk wouldn't like Stevenson.
Gronk would not like that, but Gronk is still doing, the physical humor over on the other pregame show. That said,
USAA commercials, all that stuff.
He's all over the place. He's fallen through tables like, why am I drawing a blank?
Tommy Dreamer.
Yes, him. Thank you. All right, wide receiver.
I could have said any wrestler, you would have agreed, and it's cool.
I'm
gonna go with Christian Kirk. Obviously, Calvin Ridley, great game last week, but Christian Kirk has been the most consistent guy for the Jacksonville Jaguars, and now they got a pretty good matchup this week against the Houston Texans. They do play a lot of zone, and it's really not his best option, but last time these two teams connected, Christian Kirk did get into the end zone, so I like the Jags in this one. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this because I know everybody's going to start C.J. Stroud and Tank Dell and all those guys, but this is the first time that C.J. Stroud is going to see a team that he's played before. And so now we'll see what happens, how they defense them, but I think Christian Kirk, great option this week.
C.J. Stroud and the Texans won when they faced off in Jacksonville in September. A player to avoid today is also a wide receiver, but not Christian Kirk.
No, it's Amari Cooper. It's a very tough matchup going up against the Denver Broncos, who've been playing very well defensively over the last number of weeks. In the 2 games started by DTR at quarterback, Amari Cooper has had single-digit fantasy points, so we love the talent. He's a great player, and for anybody who doesn't understand fantasy, they're like, but he's good. Yeah, he is good. But he's not putting up the fantasy points. He might not get the targets. One player I do like in this game, I know that we joked about this in the meeting, like the only guys you want from this game are the kickers. But Cortland Sutton, you were talking about him a moment ago, he has scored a touchdown in all but 2 games this year. He's crazy. He gets into the end zone like every game.
And sometimes they are crazy highlight like Next Gen powered by AWS. He shouldn't have caught it.
Yes.
Kind of plays. I am playing Dustin Hopkins, by the way.
There it is.
In that game. Bam. And the Browns defense. You're watching NFL Game Day Preview. Coming up next, Tommy DeVito and the New York Giants. This is your moment to beat Bill Belichick and the Patriots. Mike Garafolo, this is your moment as well. Look at this. He is hard at work for you.
Doing?
Somebody's got to eat a sandwich on live TV.
That's his job.
Well done. Garafolo is going to chew, Mike, and then join us coming up next. NFL Game Day preview. You're looking live at, well, Brian Daboll. No, you're also looking live there at Mac Jones. Yes, he is starting today. Your 2 weeks of suspense have finally ended. However, might we see the other guy as well? Mike Garafolo has the details.
Mac Jones gets the start for the Patriots here at MetLife Stadium today. Sources telling me he will be the first quarterback up for the Patriots. And I say first quarterback because Jones shouldn't get too comfortable. Bailey Zappi, who split reps with Jones in practice last week, is expected to play as well. Could be a case of Bill Belichick riding the hot hand at the quarterback position and seeing which quarterback is performing better in this game. Jones has to stop making critical mistakes at crucial times of the game. That's been the most frustrating part when I talk to Patriots folks about what they are hoping to see from Jones. Better decisions at the most important points of the game. On the other side of this game, Tommy DeVito, the rookie quarterback, in his third game going up against Bill Belichick. A lot of folks saying a rookie quarterback, especially an undrafted rookie, bad matchup, but the Giants like the way that DeVito has really processed things and made decisions. He's going to need Saquon Barkley, who leads the NFL in rushes and rushing yards since week 7, to really get going to keep this team two-dimensional on offense.
Vito has been sacked 22 times in 3 games so far. Is that bad? I don't know. Time for Who Scores, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Let's do one of those same-game parlays here for the Saints and the Falcons. Alvin Kamara. We got Bijan Robinson on this thing. We got Derek Carr's passing yards at 224.5. Same-game parlay. This thing's plus 435. Who scores? White, let's start with that one. Who scores? Falcons and the Saints.
Well, I know we're talking gambling parlay, but I'm going to talk the French-speaking parlay, which is to speak.
You speak French?
I do.
Okay.
Oh, I do. Just a tad on per. Taysom Hill. This is so easy. I mean, because he's like the ultimate Falcons killer. He's played 12 games total and has his hand in 9 touchdowns. There's one of him throwing, one of his 4 throwing. He's got 4 rushing and 1 receiving. So Taysom Hill will score today.
All right, Taysom Hill is going to score. How about the Bucks and the Colts? We haven't touched that game yet. Coach, who'd you like to score? Bucks, Colts.
I think one of the premier running backs in our game today, Jonathan Taylor, will find his way in the end zone. His reps have gone up, since he came back from his injury, which allows him to get more carries. So I'm expecting him to find his way in that end zone not once, but maybe twice.
Oh, he's going to go touchdown. No scoop for Jonathan Taylor.
All right, Coach.
How about that? Jonathan Taylor has not had a 100-yard day since he came back. We haven't seen one since last year. You're not saying a hundo. You're saying 2 touchdowns for Jonathan Taylor. I like it. Panthers and Titans. Another game that we have not yet really touched.
For good reason.
Frank, you're getting that one. Who scores Panthers, Titans?
I'm going to go with Adam Thielen in this. Hey, camera 3. I'm going to go with Adam Thielen in this one. He is on a 4-game scoreless skid, but he can rebound this week against the Tennessee Titans. You do not attack this defense on the ground. That is a fool's errand. Instead, you've got to go through the air. And outside of that game against the Colts, Adam Thielen has been drawing double-digit targets. So I think there's a really good opportunity for him to get into the end zone in this one. And I'll throw you a freebie. Derrick Henry against this team. Remember last week when everybody was worried about Tony Pollard never scoring touchdowns, that he plays this Carolina team, and now he's back. Derrick Henry can do the same.
All right, we're throwing in the
I threw one in.
Henry freebie. How about that one?
I'm excited because Leslie Frazier, he's an 85 Bear.
He is an 85.
Did you know that?
He's
85. Check it out. Hey, check this out. I got a sweetness shirt on.
85 Bears or royalty?
I wore it for you.
Coach, have you ever paid for a meal in Chicago?
I get taken care of.
See,
all right.
85 Bears are royalty. We did mention Cardinals-Rams earlier. Rank told you to play Kyler Murray. I'm going to go that one. Who scores? I'm going to say Kyren Williams.
I like it.
Yeah, Kyren is back from injured reserve. Cooper Kupp's going to play, but, he rolled the ankle last week. Obviously, the Rams want to run the ball. Matter of fact, they're still frustrated with Darrell Henderson taking the wrong lane on that. Why'd you throw a screen in the red zone? Well, it would have worked if Darrell Henderson went left instead of right. They released him. Then they brought him back on the practice squad because Kyren is back, and Kyren is getting in the end zone today. That is my prediction. Number 23 in his second year. Out of
2 scoops?
Dame. I'm not going to go 2 scoops on him.
All right.
Don't forget DraftKings Sportsbook this season. New customers can bet $5 and pocket 115 bonus bets instantly. Plus, all customers can get a no-sweat, same-game parlay every day. Download the app. Use the promo code GAME, G-A-M-E, GAME when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. Tank Dell's been wearing a lot of crowns of late. Today, he's wearing the Battle Red helmet. Love it. 5'8", but as Cam Wolfe said, we're all the same height in the end zone, I think. Something like that. What was Cam's line about his height or his weight? Whatever, he's good.
We aren't really just Kansas City's team. We're America's team.
The Raiders are coming at you. We're going to take what we want.
Here come all the Raiders. Holy Toledo. It's a free-for-all. Pump it in there, baby.
Don't worry about anything else. You just go with the other team.
End zone Casper. Touchdown, Raiders. Touchdown. Tony Gonzalez. Biggest sack by Derek Thomas. 6th sack of the game. Down the middle. Brown's got it. Marcus Allen with the touchdown. John Madden goes on the shoulders of his players. This team is the greatest in the universe.
There's only one thing that counts. Just win.
We're going to do whatever we have to do to win.
Let's go play football.
Ah, yes, a legendary rivalry renewed here. Welcome back to NFL Game Day Preview. Rank Coach Leslie Frazier, Steve White, I'm Andrew Siciliano. I'll pull back the curtain here. As we were playing that tape, White said, haven't the Chiefs won like the last 30? And Steve, it's actually 9 out of the last 10 since Patrick Mahomes took over.
Well, that's close.
You were close.
But
close. We get the point here. It has been a one-sided rivalry. The Chiefs' offense of late, though, hasn't done a lot.
Hasn't been on. First off, going back to that video where they showed some of the classic Raiders and Chiefs games, a lot of Leslie's brethren in the Black College Football Hall of Fame were in those videos. Guys like Willie Lanier, Art Shell.
You know what? Hold the ring up.
Hold the ring up.
Yeah, there we go. He's got the ring.
Black College Football Hall of Fame right there.
Bam.
Well, to get back to this game real quick, you know, the Chiefs, we know that they haven't they've been struggling scoring in the second half. And again, I know it goes against Andy Reid's nature, but run the football, right? This is a game your offensive line should be able to run the football against the Raiders. They're getting a lot of penalties, a lot of holes, a lot of false starts. Get them going forward, running the football. Get that offensive line into the groove. And we've seen Isaiah Pacheco. We've seen Jet McKinnon, these guys, move the ball on the ground. It was working against the Eagles in the first half Monday night. 20 times for about 125 yards. Got away from it in the second half. Offense bogged down. I know it's hard, Andy. You're going to get the DTs. Run the football some in the second half. Maybe things will ease up a little bit.
There were times, man, we were in Philadelphia when Andy was our head coach. We'd be on defense. Jim Johnson was our D coordinator. We'd be like, "Come on, Andy, run the ball just a little bit, you know, take some pressure off the defense." Yeah. So, but the Chiefs' defense this year has really carried the load. Their offense has struggled, as you mentioned, Andrew. They've gone, the last 3 games without scoring a touchdown in the second half. So they really need the defense to step up, and they've been doing that throughout. They're an elite defense in almost every category, whether it's rushing the quarterback, points allowed. They're like 4th in the league in points allowed. They're top 10 when it comes to their run defense as well, and they find ways to get pressure on the quarterback also. So this Raiders offense, they're coming off of a game where a week ago, Aiden O'Connell threw 3 picks in that ball game, 3 interceptions. And Josh Jacobs only ran for, I think 2.8 yards per carry. So if this is a week that I really believe the Chiefs have a chance to dominate from a defensive standpoint and really put some pressure on this Raiders offense.
Yeah, and you were talking about how the Chiefs have struggled in the second quarter, or the second half. The Raiders have too. These teams have combined for, an average of like 11 points in this second half this season. And do with that information what you will. One of the things for the Chiefs to get back on track, though, is they got to get Travis Kelce right. I know that Travis Kelce scored a touchdown, and all the fantasy dorks were like, we had 15. No. You're Travis Kelce. You have a higher standard of excellence. You can't be dropping the football. You can't be dropping it in the red zone. You're dating Taylor Swift. You have to step up.
There it is.
That's what I'm saying. And by the way, if Taylor Swift can't condescend to come to these games, then
she's in South America. It's not like it's down the street.
Change your schedule, whatever. They don't have jets. Whatever. You're Taylor Swift. She's not flying commercial. She's not getting on a Southwest jet.
She actually had a show Monday night in Rio. I did look because we did game day final. So I'm just going to give her a pass on that one.
All right.
But it's Vegas.
It's Vegas. Get to Vegas.
I'm with you. The Chiefs have been shut out in each of the last 3 second halves, as Coach mentioned. They're averaging only 15 points a game over those last 3 games. Interesting game here at SoFi in the late window. The late, the NBC, the Chris and Mike Tirico window. That would be the Ravens and the Chargers, Steve, on a lot of different levels.
A lot of different levels. Yeah, and Mark Andrews, out at tight end for the Ravens for the rest of the season. Isaiah Likely, he's someone who will flash and flash. But he only has 9 catches this year. He hasn't got to play a ton because of the Mark Andrews factor and the fact that they're passing the ball outside. But his new OC, Todd Monken, he loves coming out with creative ways to utilize multiple tight ends. So I think Likely is going to be a factor, not on the Mark Andrews scale, but just think about what Monken did at Georgia when he had all those different tight ends, how he found ways to use them. So again, Isaiah Likely, 9 catches on the year. He's probably going to get 5 or 6 tonight against a Chargers defense, Coach, which has not played well.
Yeah, that's been the for the Chargers coming off of a tough loss against Green Bay a week ago. Brandon Staley and this defense, they've got to step up. They've got to find ways to make plays and then do it over the course of 4 quarters. Now with Joey Bosa being out, Khalil Mack, Derwin James, they really got to rally the troops. They've struggled defensively. They're last in the league in pass defense. They struggle with explosive plays, give up more explosive plays than any team in the league. And Brandon, being a defensive head coach, got to find ways to get the guys going. But I put it back on the players stepping up and finding ways to make plays in crucial situations.
Hey, you're talking about the defense struggling. There's Brandon Staley taking subtle shots at Austin Eckler. Do you not want to be the coach of the LA Chargers? You're going after your most beloved player? This is the guy that they need to absolutely, because they're going to have to answer the Ravens. The Ravens are going to go out and score a lot of points, and you need Austin Eckler to come through. Now, the Ravens have struggled with running backs who can catch the ball out of the backfield, but again, at the same time, there's not a lot of options. Once you, they have to focus in on Austin Eckler, but he is the guy that has to step up for them. And stop taking shots at him. That's not cool.
Look, Keenan Allen dropped the touchdown pass, legitimately lost it in the sun last week. But then there's Quentin Johnston down the sideline. I mean, Justin Herbert put it on him. You can't throw a better ball. He could and should still be running, and they could have won that game. They didn't, and now they get the Ravens back here.
Should have been Tank Dell, who they drafted, but whatever.
That's another issue.
That's another thing.
Ravens, as it stands now, the #1 team in the AFC. The Steelers, as it stands now, are fighting and scrapping literally amongst themselves after that loss last week. Defense going to have to win it today, Steve, in Cincinnati?
I do. Even though they're changing the play caller, I think the Bengals defense is a matchup issue for these guys a little bit, and the defense is going to have to score. I mean, that guy right there, I'm assuming that looks like T.J. Watt.
That is T.J. Watt.
T.J. Watt. Him and Alex Highsmith are going to have to actually do some damage and put some points on the board because, again, the Steelers' offense is a little bit of a mess.
And speaking of a mess, Coach, Steve set you up perfectly here. Mac Jones, after a week off, after what happened in Germany, is back and starting.
Yeah, Mac has had an eventful 2 weeks coming back from Germany and finding himself in a position where a lot of conversation about whether or not he would start this ball game. And fortunately for him, and hopefully for the Patriot fans as well, he'll go out and play well. But if you can imagine being a first-round pick and really coming in your rookie year and playing pretty well under one coordinator, and then, of course, they went through all the things they went through in 2022 at the coordinator position. And then this year with Bill O'Brien as his third offensive coordinator, he struggled even more than he did in 2022. So it's been a tough season for Mac, but his mental toughness is being tested. But this is an opportunity for him to take advantage of the fact that he's starting, go out and play well.
He starts. Question is, does he finish?
The Houston Texans select C.J. Stroud.
Pure natural thrower.
Bring a leader. Or bring me.
C.J. firing downfield to his right. Tag Dell to the house. C.J. Stroud with more magic. C.J. looking, throwing to the end zone. Caught, touchdown. Are you kidding?
Stroud has got 6. He's in for the touchdown.
And he has 3 interceptions in this game.
Steph Curry don't ever stop shooting.
What a throw by Stroud.
I don't got no shame in my game. I'm keep letting it ride.
NFL Game Day preview. C.J. Stroud and the Texans dressed head to toe in red today. This is with D'Amico Ryans there with him. The game of the day in the early window. How about this? Week 12 game of the day, the Texans, Steve Wyche, and the Jaguars.
I mean, I absolutely love it. Again, we did not see this coming. And I love it because now C.J. Stroud, with him and Trevor Lawrence, this could be the next Brady Manning type of rivalry going on with these two young talents. And we saw C.J. Stroud just absolutely tear apart the Jaguars earlier in the season. I want to see if Trevor Lawrence can bounce back and get a victory because it's when you talk to coaches around the league, he's an absolutely polarizing figure.
Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, here's why I say he's polarizing. Is he going to be emerging to elite category, or is he going to be kind of in the ordinary good category? I mean, I think a lot of teams would take both right now. But the majority of people I talk to think he's going to be elite, and I think this is a game where he can plant a flag in there going up in a high-stakes game against the quarterback who could steal his throne in the division.
Interesting. Coach, what's he facing? What's D'Amico Ryans throwing at him?
D'Amico's done a really good job with his defense. They've improved dramatically, Andrew, over the last few weeks. Justin gave me some numbers. Their total sack numbers at 24, but they've got 9 in the last 3 games going back to the Cincinnati game. So they really stepped up on defense, and Steve talked about it earlier in the second half of ball games, how well they played, but it starts with their front. You're talking about a defensive line or a defense that was last in the league stopping the run a year ago, giving up 160 yards a game. This year, rushing the football, teams are averaging 96 yards per game. That's tremendous improvement, and that goes back to D'Amico and the defensive staff really emphasizing that physical mentality that it takes to play well on defense. So the defensive line sets the tone for this defense, and it's showing in the way they play.
I want to give a tip of the cap to you. Mentioned Justin. You guys can't see Justin. He's sitting right behind camera 4, whatever's on right now. Right. That's Justin in research over there. Justin, say hi. Yell hi.
Hello.
That's
there we
Justin.
go.
All right.
Well done.
Other side, Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
It's like 1 week, yes.
It's been very inconsistent.
No.
It's been inconsistent with Calvin Ridley. And last week, Zay Jones returned. And so we're trying to wonder, is that causation? Is that correlation? What is it? But really what it is, was a more creative approach with Calvin Ridley in trying to get him in motion and not letting teams press him on the line of scrimmage. Cam Wolf talked about this. Defense, did he? Did he say
he
this?
Did.
I want to make sure that I'm not blowing him up, but I didn't want to say, like, defenses were pressing him, and they were really frustrating him. So now they had to go out there and take a different offensive approach with him and try to get him out into a little bit of space, and they run a lot of those mesh concepts. So when Zay Jones is there, it makes it a little bit easier, but we'll see if they can continue that consistency.
See if Calvin Ridley can get something going today. Again, this is the watch it early, circle it on your calendar. Texans can end the day in first in the AFC South and looking a month from now potentially to hosting a playoff game.
How about that?
We hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. We're very thankful. Normally we pick games. You should be thankful we're not picking games today, instead telling you what we're thankful for at this holiday season. White, you go first.
All of us are going to be thankful for our families, but football-wise, I am thankful for defenses catching up to offenses. We're seeing teams use 7, 8 guys in coverage, confounding quarterbacks, and then pressure getting to them. Coach, I know you're loving the fact that the defenses have caught up.
Absolutely, and then you're taking a look at the thing that I'm thankful for is watching DeMeco Ryans and the Houston Texans, the success that he's having as a head coach in our league, a black head coach with a defensive head coach who has a young quarterback who's having success as well. So thankful for the success of the Houston Texans and DeMeco Ryans.
Here.
Let me see if I can get this straight. So a defensive-minded head coach with a first-time play caller. That can actually
Shots
work.
fired.
That can
Shots
actually
fired.
work.
I hope some owners are looking at this. I hope some owners are watching
I don't
this.
know.
who
I'm
he's
just
talking
saying.
about.
Listen, don't take it. But I'm going to say I'm thankful that the Bears have the Panthers' first-round pick. First could be the first overall pick, and if it is the first overall pick, not using it on a quarterback. I think the Bears are set with the quarterback that they have. But it's very nice to have 2 potential top 5 picks. Something to look forward to as the Bears season is kind of spiraling out of control.
Here. And I am thankful for the fact that in a season in which the Browns have started yet again, 1, 2, 3 quarterbacks, their defense has them in the playoff conversation. And you never know, maybe they too could host a playoff game. Baby steps. Let's get there. That's what I'm thankful for. And we are all thankful to all of you watching
100%.
Another edition of NFL Game Day Preview. They're getting on the field at MetLife Stadium, at Paycor Stadium. Get on the couch, friends. Enjoy Week 12, and we will see you next week.
Hey everybody, welcome to NFL Game Center presented by FanDuel. I'm Patrick Claybon. We got an incredible slate of games today, and Game Center's got you covered with highlights and social reactions for all of them. Get ready for a fun day of football. Enjoy the show.
I don't do this for the paycheck. Step out on the field and hear the crowd roar.
Everything you got for the guy beside you! Everybody to win over the game!
I'll be there for love. All I'm dreaming of, 'cause it's in my blood. I'm in this for the love.
End zone! He's got it! Touchdown! Him towing his way to the end zone! I told you!